Okay. Welcome. And yeah. So Kathy, if you take call the roll.
Heights,
Yes.
Mink,
Yes.
Stefan. Yes. Rader.
Yes.
Lawhead.
Yes.
Forum, you may proceed.
Okay, thank you. Draw attention to the Open Meeting Act here, and we'll say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First of all, you have the minutes in your packet from December, so is there anything that anybody wants changed or corrected there? Or are you ready to go ahead and approve those? Let's make a motion. You,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
okay. Larry?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Arlene?
Yes.
And Isla?
Yes.
Okay, is it just one set or is there two of them?
Just one.
Just the one, right, okay. So the financial statements are there, they're at the back of your packet, and we'll look at those a little later and look at them. The claims are in front of you. I see you've all been going through those. Any question on any of that? Because they get all the money. The school gets the money. It just passes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, anybody have anything to state about those?
Those liquor licenses, is that every year?
They renew in the fall every year. Right, Catherine?
Pardon me?
They renew every fall, November.
Some of them in the fall, some of them in the spring.
That might explain why it's only 1,200.
It's 600 each, right? Oh,
How much?
300 to the schools.
what?
300 each to the school.
Well, that's 4 of them then, it's 1,200. Okay. I thought it was 6 each. Don't they pay? I don't know. Okay. No, you don't. So we'll get it. They will get it all. Other questions? Okay, think about approving that. Can I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion we pay the claims for December.
I'll second it.
Don?
Yes.
Arlene?
Yes.
Isla?
Yes.
And Larry?
Yes.
Okay, then on the unfinished business, the change of zoning for the Argo Hotel. And there's been some discussion on that throughout this month. So it's up to the board to you guys decide which one to do.
I'll make a motion to change the zoning for the Argo Hotel.
I'll second that.
Okay. Arlene?
Well, okay. I am going to stick with my vote as last month. I checked with the zoning, city zoning, and also county. Checked with the assessor's office, and they can't give me a good reason to change. I mean, advantage for you. I think, I just don't want to set a precedence for our city that we can just change zoning when it would be out there. I think the main concern was the electrical billing still. No?
Do I have a chance to speak? Or is this just?
I would. Yeah. Yes, you should.
All right. I wasn't here at the last meeting because of work, and I guess I assumed, and that was silly of me, that the planning and zoning recommendation would be followed through with. We were unanimously in favor of us from the planning and zoning. And then the last meeting that I wasn't here, I listened to fully 3 times. I was able to, someone was nice enough to send me a link to listen to it. And I believe there was 2 things that were said that were a little misleading. I feel that one of them was the term bailout. We're not asking for a bailout in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
We have worked on that place since we bought it, we have improved it, and we are trying to keep the tax money flowing in the right direction. I did say that if we can't streamline the budget, that we might have to close the doors and I might have to go back to work full-time construction, in which case, that's a lose-lose. I guess the way I'm looking at it is it doesn't cost the city anything to give us this zoning. We requested it. We've even opened up some of the information doesn't need to be privy to this council because the question is asked. But it's 2 things. It's budgetary and statutory. If you read the state statute on bed and breakfast, it says it's a residence of the people running it. Okay, so we're trying to fall in lines with that. We're also trying to streamline our budget. Now, the electric is only one thing on that budget. I never said that it was solely for the electric, ever. I said it was primarily budgetary. Now, budgetary is 3 things. It's our utilities, it's our insurance, and it's our taxes. Okay, those are the 3 things that can be affected by this change. But we need to get the change and then go after those. It's a process.
The first night that you spoke, Frankie said that it was primarily electric and taxes, and the taxes were kind of
I
not
said
that much.
budgetary. I said budgetary.
You mentioned those 2 things when you presented that night. So,
I need to go get back and get my financial statement and my budget?
no, I'm just saying that
Okay.
that's what you drew our attention to. And
I said budgetary.
you also talked about the electric and about the taxes.
Yes, I did.
And
I said it was primarily a budgetary.
okay,
and
so
statutory.
that's what it
And
is.
statutory. I didn't come here to argue. I
Okay.
came here to state the facts.
Okay.
I think that
And
those
we
minutes, I
understood.
think the minutes should have been looked at before the meeting.
We did all look at it.
Okay.
sir.
That's all I have to say.
We've done all the study. Nobody's come in here without studying, I'll guarantee you.
Things,
But
I don't really think that we're gonna set any standards if we change the Argo from commercial to residential, because everybody's case is gonna be different. You know, if I want to change something, it's completely different than the Argo. We're not setting no precedents, anything here. I don't think it's gonna hurt Crofton if we change it. We're not setting standards that, okay, if If you got commercial, you want to go to residential, no, because case whatever, on December 2nd, we said no, and that's what we're going to stay with. That can't happen.
But yes, it can, because we do set precedents.
We
is what
cannot
I-
control people, how they want to run their stuff.
But Larry, what we do is set precedents by what we do. That's why we have a planning and zoning
And
regulation.
what did they say? They said it was fine.
No, well, no, this board did.
The Planning and Zoning Administration did agree that it would be a good choice.
So we can't-
But that's why they have to, but see, here's been my argument, okay? That's all the planning and zoning cannot approve it by statute. They had to come to the city council. Hang on, just let me finish this. That's why we are here. We are not bound to agree with them. Is that right, Mike?
That's correct.
That is exactly why they are in front of us. And they are here because it is based upon a conditional use permit, not changing the zone. It's a conditional use permit. Is that correct?
There are two steps. There are two steps.
Is that what they applied for, though?
There's an application to change the zoning, which is before you. There is no application before you for a conditional permit. It will come, but what you're dealing with now is whether to zone it one way or the other.
Why would we have conditional use if we zone it different? Oh, because then we have to do the conditional use to make it, because now you've made it a residence, now you have to have a permit to let them have a bed and breakfast again. Is that correct?
Which is acceptable.
Yes.
But that's what the process is.
Residents don't.
That's what the process is that right?
That's the process. But what you're dealing with now is whether to zone it different than it is. It's presently commercial. If we zone it residential transition, then it's really not that big a deal.
Okay. But remember that if it becomes residential, you guys keep saying it doesn't hurt the city. So here's what happens. That is a business. Has been since the Argo Hotel was built. The history is a business. In the travel magazine, it is the only business that is mentioned in the city of Crofton to stop and see the business of the Argo Hotel. It is, under those circumstances, it was a place to sleep, a place to eat, a place to drink, a place to gather, etc. If you change it to residential, the only thing you can do is sleep and have breakfast. Is that correct? Is that correct?
It already is that.
It already is.
We didn't renew our liquor license.
That's not changed.
We did not.
But that doesn't predict what can be in the future. Aaron quoted the comprehensive plan
Don't use
to
my
us.
quotes against me unless you understand what I said.
Right?
It's also not being run commercially.
Did you or did you not talk about the comprehensive plan?
Of course I did, but don't use my quotes against me when you don't understand what I was talking about.
How do you know I don't understand? Thank you.
Because
Maybe
you
you'd like to
tried
quote.
it last month too.
All right, say your quote again.
I used the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan wants to encourage tourism. A bed and breakfast encourages tourism much better than closing doors.
Sure it
Okay? Also, I also mentioned that if 5 years from now, 5 months from now, whenever, someone else wants to come in, buy the bed and breakfast, and change it back to a steakhouse or whatever they want to change it to, it's a zoning change. It can be changed right back. There's no problem with that.
Except that that will predict that they will have more inspections and stuff to get the kitchen open again and all that was a state.
Those things will happen anyway.
Yeah, they're gonna do it
Again, that would have
they're
to
gonna
do
do it
with
with
the
new
way that
owners
they want
anyway.
to run their own
Excuse me, they're
business.
gonna do it with new owners anyway, but that, there's still some leeway there.
As far as the
Okay.
process goes, we don't run anything commercially as well. We don't have walk-in freezers, we don't have food delivery, we don't have employees. Everything that goes on in that operation is between my husband and I.
Okay, that's fine. If the board decides that that's okay, that's fine. I still will regret that a business became a private residence because,
It'll still be a business.
It's still business.
It's still business.
Already.
sure, absolutely. That's why I'd like to preserve it as a business.
It still is a business.
It still is a business, and it already is a bed and breakfast.
Okay.
There is no
Yeah,
change
it's,
there.
that's fine. You'll just be able to take 10 people instead of 18 and you won't have any other activities there except your bed and breakfast.
But he doesn't want to do.
We've never done more than two, I think one.
That's fine. But that's what
There's
you're
also
losing.
provisions-
When you ask what is the city losing, you're losing the ability to have
Like a chance-
18 instead of
I'd
10.
like a chance to explain something further too. Aside from the state statute on bed and breakfast, there's also provisions for leniency on the regulation for 10 people. So if I was to go 12,
Oh, okay. So that
Is that
statement.
funny?
No,
It's right in
no,
the-
because, so the statement you gave us about the bed and breakfast was going from residential to, that you handed out to us was if you're going from residential and putting a bed and breakfast in a residential, you're not doing that. You're
All I
going
did
from
was-
an already commercial back to a
all I
residential.
did was pull up the state statute.
so it's back.
We're trying to live and operate within the
Yeah,
parameters of
and
that state
that's fine.
statute.
Let's move on.
Mike,
Well, the guys have done this.
I have a question.
Sure.
If it goes from, okay, say we vote for residential, then we put a continuance, or a conditional permit on it?
It will
Is that what
become a
the process
conditional
is?
permit by zoning requirement. You'll
And
need
what
to
would that
approve
entail?
conditional
So you're gonna
permit,
come back to us to say, now we want you to put another condition on it.
which is what a conditional permit is.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's just
So
what
what do you-
needs to be
what
done
kind of
according to the
conditions do you
zoning
put on?
regulations.
So
You
what's
don't
that
have to put
gonna,
any conditions on it if you don't want to. It's just a conditional use.
let Mike handle. So
Yeah.
what are you gonna present to us on the conditional permit?
The conditional permit will require a limit, as just stated, according to state law, as to how many people can be there. And Frank just stated that the state law allows for some variance in the number of people.
The
Okay?
guideline is 10.
As I said at our last meeting, I polled 4 or 5 different bed and breakfasts, and there isn't really a hard and fast cement rule on how many people you can have. There is room for some variation. As a matter of fact, it's not that big a deal if he has 18 people, but that will not happen frequently, if it ever happens.
And just, I'm gonna say one more thing and then we'll vote. Just so that there's not a misconception on the idea about the budgetary thing. That statement was made about the electricity because Mike Lammers stated that it was charged on the phase or whatever the amount of electricity generated. Yes, he did.
Am I
In
getting this?
last month's meeting,
Well-
Mike Lammers stood up and said,
Frank wasn't here last month.
I'm not talking to Frank. So, that statement was given to us, Frank.
I listened to the minutes.
That was given to us by you and by them, and they've already granted you a 2-year residential.
11 months left on that, correct?
So you're paying residential now, so
I'm still
that's not
paying.
gonna change.
Well, I'm
So-
paying, the rate is residential, but I'm still paying the access, hookup, the rent, line rental and stuff that will go away if it becomes residential. But now, just because I get residential zoning doesn't mean Cedar Knox is going to give me residential electricity.
Permanent.
This is a step. Okay, it's just like the process that I'm going through with you. It's a step, and then there's more steps on your process as well for me with the conditional permit, which I understand, but it is a step in the right direction.
Okay.
It's all effort to keep the tax money coming into town through the Argo. And another thing I'd like to say, which I didn't state in any of the prior meetings, is that not only does Crofton receive tax money from our sales tax and lodging tax, but every time we have somebody stay over more than one night, which is very frequent, they go to the Weevil House. They go to
Yeah,
the Lucy
yeah.
Lodge.
It
They
does.
get gas, they
Yeah,
fuel up
of
before
course.
they leave.
And that's why I'd
It's a
like
lot
to
of-
see
it's
as
a
many
big
there as we
stimulus.
can.
It's a
Yep.
stimulus package.
Yep.
But if
And that's-
if I can't make ends meet, then I'm going back on the road.
Well, and I don't want to see it come out of that visitor's guide as as a viable business.
It's a
I don't want to
win-win.
see that.
It's a win-win or
Visitors guides put bed and breakfast in their guides all the time.
Well, I just recently read the act and, or, you know, read the statement in that magazine, and I don't know what all it said, but it, you know, built up a little bit more than bed and breakfast.
Can I say
So,
something?
Yes, sure.
Also, if they're able to save money as far as like the utilities and things like that, they could put that money into advertising, into things like that, that would, like you're worried about the advertisements of the business and the whatever magazine you're talking about. But if there's money being saved, I mean, regardless of how it happens or whatever, like, how is that gonna hurt anything?
Okay, but you have to go back to what was said earlier here.
Well, why does that
If-
matter? Who
if-
cares about
if-
their electricity bill? That doesn't affect the city. What affects the city is the people that come here. The people that come here bring the money to it. Their electricity bill doesn't bring the city any money, right? So why does their electricity bill even really matter to?
I think we're all getting hung up on the electric bill. That's really small. I brought that up, and I wish I never would have. It's budgetary and statutory. That's it.
So Frank, can I
Keep it
ask you,
simple.
so can I ask you something else then? If, when we were talking about setting a precedent.
Yes.
So let's say that some other business down here has budgetary problems, and they say that if we change to a residential place, there's an insurance, for example, on Main Street that has insurance in the front and a residence in the back. Suppose they come and say, we
Not
can
apples
change.
to apples. Not apples to apples.
doesn't.
This is where we live.
So do they.
No,
It's they.
If they could, there's a residence and an insurance company. If
There's no insurance in there and there's nobody living in it.
it is there as a business, so it's
in
not.
order to change
It is a
a zone,
building.
in order to change a zone, it has
Is
to.
it not in the business district, sir?
In order to change a zone, it has to fit in with its surroundings. The Argo Bed and Breakfast fits in with its surroundings.
Because
as
it's got residents
residential.
across the street, but it's got business on the other side. So what you're saying is
But
they couldn't do that
commercial could be
downtown.
one of those insurance offices. And
So they
make
couldn't
them
do that
designate-
downtown because that insurance company downtown's got business all around, so you wouldn't let them change for budgetary reasons.
It would make no
That's what I'm
sense, that
saying.
goes against zoning.
Exactly, it goes against zoning. Let's have a vote.
This doesn't go against zoning.
Let's
You're-
vote.
You're twisting words, because you don't know what you're talking about.
We're just going around in
Hang
circles.
on a second. You know, I'm the oldest one on this board and I've lived in this town a lot longer. than anybody
I don't
else.
think you're the oldest.
Listen to me. I live in this town longer than
Okay,
anybody on this
all
board.
right.
I've seen this town grow from hardly nothing to what we got today.
Okay,
We start making budgetary things on people that cannot bring people into town. You made a statement, we got people coming in the walls and gas stations and the grocery stores. That's money coming into our economy.
Sure.
But if you go ahead, so what if he goes residential? Who really cares? Who really cares? It's not gonna hurt you. You personally, it's not gonna hurt none of us on this board.
that's not what we're here
This is
for,
about
Larry.
town.
We're not here for us
We're
personally.
on this because the people out here voted us in to say make good decisions.
And
That's what we
I'm
did.
trying to do that by statute. I'm asking questions, so this is not hurting me personally. Let's vote. Arlene?
I'm gonna vote for it, provided that the ordinance follows, the conditional follows this code, right?
That's what has to happen.
Conditional's coming in after.
Yes, it's gotta come in.
Okay, so Arlene's a yes. Larry?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
And I.
Yes.
So it passed. Thank you. So we have these discussions every once in a while to make sure everything's going right. That's a big step to change something. It really is. The water rate increase. Now we make you mad again. We have an ordinance in front of us, folks. It reads that starting on December 15th, this Exhibit A will be going into effect. Did we stay with the 10 days? Okay. So the bills are due on the 1st and they're delinquent on the 10th. Okay, after the 10th, there's a late payment charge of $5, we kept it there. Of course, this repeals all ordinance or parts of that go in conflict. And it will go into a force in this month. So this will hit the December bill, okay? Then look at your usage rates. So we're gonna need to raise that by $8 to cover that flat fee. So that's $38 on that consumption of the first 1,000. The $3 meter reading will stay the same. And then the excess over 1,000 needs to go up 75 cents, not $2.75, but 75 cents. So we're at $5.25, so it's gonna go to $6, okay? Question? And you guys may not have this one because Mr. McNally got this one, I think. Oh, no, he did not, he got the other one.
It's important, so you have to waive the reading on pre-certification and go over on.
Okay, okay.
So,
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to waive the reading of the ordinance on 3 occasions so that we can go ahead and vote on it tonight. So if I can have that motion.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading.
Second.
Second it.
By Larry. Arlene?
Yes.
Isla?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
And Don?
Yes.
Then we will entertain a motion to pass it. Right? Are we on the right path?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to pass the ordinance.
Okay, so motion by Arlene,
I'll second it.
by Isla, second. And the vote would go, Isla,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
and Arlene. Okay. So, ordinance, that would be ordinance number 12-2, 19. Or you doing that?
That's way.
I thought we were doing, I thought we put them on there. Haven't we been doing them on first? I don't know, we'll figure it out. Okay. I don't think there's anything on, is there anything on Omaha Street, Larry?
Well, I talked to an engineer from the Ponca Smokehouse. He told me that he did a study, did a survey, did everything that he could. That water pocket down there by Carlson's and the Ponca would handle the water from Darlene Tramp all the way down to the smokehouse. He said he's got all the paperwork. And I studied it for a little bit, looked at it. I just can't see how we're gonna get it paid for. I don't think it's a necessary thing. We had a freak year last year with the frost being so soon, water coming. I just don't think we can do anything at this point. It's just, we had an engineer come in, it didn't cost us a dime. So everything I've said, the water has to go to the east, past Carlson, into that lagoon there by the smokehouse, down through the city park, out past Hesse's. That is the route the water goes. It's been like that ever since
It's
I
a
was...
natural route, yeah, we
It's a
looked at
natural
that
route.
from the beginning.
I mean, the guy that developed that area behind Omaha Street, he's dead. He did not build the houses up high enough. He didn't do enough. Didn't do the study, didn't inform the board what was going on, and that's back in the day. You can't change the
Okay,
city.
we'll just put that on hold then.
We'll just don't,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna worry about it because I don't
Okay.
think it can happen.
Okay, then we have a resolution we have to pass too, I forgot about. Whereas the ordinance section 6103 provides that a water deposit may be required, and we need to change that to $100. Remember, that goes in a separate ordinance. Do we have to read that? Okay.
this is a resolution to waive the deposit for water service. If somebody wants to get water from the city, they have to file an application with the city and make a deposit of $100. And that's by resolution rather than ordinance.
Okay. And we talked about this the other time, I think, and approved it basically. So I would entertain a motion to approve that one then. Motion on the resolution, and that would be 2/12/19 also.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for increasing the deposit.
Okay.
I'll second it.
What was the price of the deposit? 100. Because most bills run 100 anyway, so you never, you know. I just need Thank you.
We can't hear you.
Okay. So it puts the water deposit up to $100. So that, you know, your month, very few people pay less than $100 a month. So then that covers that if somebody can't pay it, if they move out of town. So won't cover many of them, but it'll cover some of them. Okay, so I have a motion by Arlene and a second by Larry, so we will start with Larry.
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Arlene?
Yes.
And I.
Yes.
Okay. There is an item of pool update. Kathy tells me what Don or Larry, one of you asked for that, so this is your deal. Oh,
Okay. Well, Don and I met with the engineers, which are here tonight.
here, give this to him.
Like I said, Don and I met with the engineers, JEO, at the swimming pool. Gave them an idea what the people wanted. They wanted a walk-in pool instead of a jump-in pool. He drew us up a preliminary plan. I can't remember your name.
Dale.
Okay, and,
Bev.
okay, you two guys could probably explain it better than I can.
Take that.
We sat with them and they came up with a plan, and I'll let them describe what we kind of came up with, what the city people kind of wanted from us. Stand.
My name's Dale Mohawk with JEO Consulting Group. Dave Hinkey out of our Wahoo office was up earlier this year in May to review your existing pool facilities. He gave a report to the council or the city, and it was a nice assessment and kind of just shows that it's the facility served the community very well. It's just coming to the end of its life. So Dave did some renderings of a new pool. I guess you can So north is north. This would be kind of where the existing pool is today. The gradual entry would come in past the existing pool house would be removed. And then the gradual entry would go out past that with a new bathhouse off to the east. This is the existing filter, but there's some canopies and other features go into the pool itself. There's also kind of dividers, so there's kind of designated toddler areas so that they don't wander into the deeper ends. So we presented that to Don and Larry. I don't know where it went from there, but yeah, sure. You can pass that down. I think I'm done with that. But I think I guess the reason I'm here tonight is to present a proposal to design a new pool for the community. Now, has this agreement been passed out to the council? So I didn't make enough copies.
Well,
I probably got a couple too.
I got two. I got one. There's one.
sharing.
Yeah, that's the proposal.
So on this pool, I guess you forgot to mention that we're gonna have one diving board. We're gonna have one diving board, and on the other end of the pool, away from the diving board, is gonna be a room for a slide. Also, it will be that if Larry Pikes wants to go swim 10 laps, I can do it without anybody bothering me in a diving board, which will never happen. But anyway, there is a spot here, like you said, for toddlers, for like babysitting people that got little guys. There is a wall that's going to be in the water, so it's going to be kind of a barrier so the kids don't wander down into the 5 foot. It's going to go from 0 to, I think, 3 or something. Yeah, that's 3, and then it goes down to 5 over on the other side on the L-sharp part of it. And we kind of talked over with Dave, and they're kind of using the same hole that we're using right now. He told us if we would close the pool, now I don't know the dates of the pool closing, so bear with me. We could close maybe a month earlier. They would get started on the groundwork and everything that had to be done. And then by next spring on Memorial Day, it would be ready for us to use. So we would not be a year without a pool. So the pool would be started in the fall one year and finished in the spring of the next year, is what he claims. You don't have no bids or nothing yet. This here meeting is for them guys to get approval from the board so they can go ahead and get the plans drawn up and then take it to contractors.
Is this all, considering that, Larry, that we say where we are? Can we build where we are?
Yeah, staying right down where we're at, taking the old pool out, digging it out. He also said that with the groundwater we got and the creek that's running through there, he would raise it and maybe put tiling in that whole area so the surface water from the ground would go down towards, he said creek, didn't he? Down towards that bridge so the water can drain down there if there's enough drop. But he can't do anything until the board approves, they go ahead and do the study and get the plans drawn up. And he would be, J.O. would be responsible for getting contractors and keeping an eye on everything the way it's supposed to be done. So, and everybody knows there's a lady out there that's willing to donate. We don't know what the price tag of this thing's gonna be. So we just...
Is it in here?
It's a guesstimate.
It's just a guesstimate, I think. But we are moving ahead, so all this stuff, and JEO is going to be contacting with this lady, I guess, to keep her informed. She'd like to know what was going on, so she knows where she's standing and what she wants to do it for the community. She wants the community to be happy. So all I can tell you is we just got to have the patience, have a positive attitude, give us a little time. We could have a pool over the winter through the next year. We'll have a pool for our kids and anybody that wants to go there. So it's just, if you look at the plan, you can see our old pool underneath the drawing. It's a walk-in, so there's no lip. You can just kind of walk from gradual ground into the water, so nobody has any tripping. Elderly people can wade in it or whatever.
Handicap.
Handicap. And then there is room for a slide. I don't know what to figure for a slide. I don't know what the people want. The more twirls you get, what you said, it's the more grease it's going to be. So.
Well, the ones we had been looking at were 35,000 on the slide.
Okay, well, that's news to me. I just, I went to the pool in Huntington when I was a kid.
On just a slide, or the amenities, you mean the 35,000 or just the slide?
Just for the slide.
Yeah, just the
Slide.
slide.
They're expensive.
They're like playground
And
equipment.
is that asking for problems if the kids fall off of them? I mean, do you know if there's
We
any?
don't- we
They're
don't-
half enclosed, except they're half enclosed and then the
Gotcha,
bottom part is
okay,
open.
yeah, yeah.
He did say, and I might be stepping on your thing here, he said that the Board of Health has to okay this whole project before we get started. So they will draw up a plan and bring it to the board, see if that's what we kind of want. He'll take it to the health department, right? And then they have to inspect everything that's going on. And there will be a roof over the top of our bathhouse. There will be no more just weeds growing up in our shower rooms. It's going to make a better look at the whole thing. You look on those red red things on here, those are just tents that you can sit around so the heat don't kill you from the cement, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, gee.
So it's kind of a hard thing to look at, but if you just concentrate on the dark blue stuff, you can see the new pool, and underneath is where the old pool is sitting. So we're not moving the site, leave it right there, maybe raise the dirt up a little bit. So if we do have a flash flood down that creek, which everybody that lives in Crofton knows that we get a lot of water in there, and we tile it, he said you shouldn't have a problem with anything happening. So, go ahead.
How does this compare to the other plans that were submitted?
Well, nobody got back to us. We called it, nobody called us. Nobody got.
I gave you 2 plans.
Two, but that, I don't know. What do you want to say?
We just didn't get any communication other than Kim Shield.
Yeah.
It's pretty typical.
Yeah,
No, so I just mentioned-
we had those, like you showed us, Kim, with Don called, I called, nobody received, no return to our calls to even talk about it, so.
Were they construction companies, Kim, or were they engineers?
Construction company.
And that's probably part of the difference, like with gas.
Well,
Construction companies have to have an engineer, or they can't go.
Okay, well, let's put it this way. They put a bid in on pools that they had already built. Okay. So they had had an engineer obviously involved in the previous project. And they were kind of projecting, and that's hard to do. I mean, you can't just out of the blue without putting somebody 60, 80, 100 hours into doing a complete pole design and expect them to do it. So it's like, what do you have
and you
that's
can do the
close
design,
to
but you
this?
can't.
And we'll kind of go a number. We needed 3 bids in order to
You can do the
get.
design up here, but you can't do all the dirt work and the wiring and the electrical and stuff without an
Kim,
engineer.
they're going to get 3 bids on this thing, so.
Well, that's fine, yeah.
Okay, so what's gonna
They're
happen
just
is,
kind of the,
when they draw up a plan to bring it to the board, the community's gonna get to see what we got. And, if one guy wants this or one guy wants that, we gotta compromise a little bit to help the community out. This is a kid-friendly town, and we all know.
And this design isn't appreciably different than the other ones I gave you, all in all, so.
Well, they bought this, and Don and I kind of thought this would be a place to start.
We can evolve with the design. This isn't hard and fast. I mean, we'll bring back the preliminary design, present it. We just kind of want a general idea of where to go with it, because we don't want to spend a lot of time reworking after we've gone so far with it.
But he did tell me, he said most towns make a big mistake. They build a pool for the adults. They don't build a pool for the kids. So if you want an adult pool, then, but Crofton is all kids. He told Don and I, he said most people build a pool for adult parties. If we want to do that, that's fine, but you also got the other end of it too. Everybody's got something on it.
Everybody's got their own opinion on that.
Well, I'm sure there's 10,000 opinions on it.
I was told by the other 2 companies, don't forget there are adults that will use the pool.
Well, there it is. And that's why we got a deep water that people can swim instead of just a little kid stuff over here. There is an area over here. They can have water polo there at nights or whatever you want to do. So there's still plenty of adult things over on this end of the pool. This one side of the pool is going to be basically for the kids, and we don't want nobody to get hurt. That's the main thing. So.
Just a couple things. This is a pretty typical design that is seen up in the last 10 years, I would say.
Actually, it's basically the same design that we used in Excel. And maybe this is a little bit easier for you guys to see. I didn't know if somebody wanted to see this or not. It's a little more clear. And if anybody ever gets to Excel, then they'll look at their pool too.
You could hand it around.
Yeah, good. I got the board too.
We're currently building a pool in Osmond, which is pretty similar to this. They kept the bathhouse, though it was in good enough shape. This one obviously is not, which adds to the cost. I think we ought to be up front. Our estimated cost for this is $2.6 million to do the pool and the bathhouse. I understand there's some possible funding if we get going with this that could definitely help with this project. We could also help you as obtaining other sources of funding. That's kind of Deb's cue. Should we go there or should we keep?
Do you guys want to hear about funding now? We could maybe tell you about that right now. There are some different, I'm loud enough as well. There are some different funding opportunities out there. Again, we can never say that we will actually find you funding and that you will get funding. I mean, there's opportunities that we can apply for funding, but we can't promise you anything. That's the state agencies that do that as a rule. But we are very good at getting funding. I know with ORD, we got them over $400,000 for their pool. You know, it just kind of depends how things work out. You know, there's the land and water conservation. That's one grant. Let's see. I guess the average award was $158,000 for that. There's a civic center grant. You're eligible for up to $562,000. So that's $500,000 right there. You know, there's some private fundings out there. You know, there's different things. There's Black Hills Energy. There's the Peter Kiewit Fund. And as far as these grants, we would help you. We would write these grants for you. So that's kind of included with everything we do. We try to see the project through and help you with that. There's also some, you know, and these are just the grants. You know, there's also some other things. We don't know exactly how much money the lady has now. I've heard a few different figures.
We don't exactly know how much.
Yeah. You know, there's also some other things. One would be a local option sales tax. I know you guys already have like 1 cent, but you're eligible for up to 2 cents. Sales tax is always a good way to do things because then people come into your community and help pay for it. So that's always a good way to go. Again, that would take a vote of the people. You could also do a general obligation bond, and again, that would be a vote of the people also. So, you know, there's a few different ways that you could do things besides grants. I don't know, you know, what you guys have in mind for that, but, you know, we can always help you get there. You know, we should probably do a capital campaign because these funding agencies like to see people involved in the community and try to help it along. And, you know, there's all sorts of fundraisers and things that you can do. I don't know if your county would like help with some things or if to my knowledge, the school doesn't have a swim team, right? So they probably wouldn't give, but you know, there's all sorts of different partners that you can have too. So there's a few different things that we can do to help the project along. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Some of those original sources of funding that you mentioned that you started for, you rephrase or respeak on a couple, 2 or 3 quarters for me.
A little louder, Mike, will you? Can you holler a little more?
Okay, I was asking her if she would list again the first 2 or 3 items that she gave for funding options.
Okay, there's a land and water conservation. Maximum grant to Nebraska is $1.1 million. So an average award in 2018 was $158,000. So be eligible for that. There's a civic and community center grant. Crofton would be eligible for up to $562,000 on that one.
How do you, Viv, can I interrupt? How do you know how much we're eligible for?
Because there's a little table that says that. And if you're, it has to do with your population.
Okay.
Does that have to do with income?
No.
Does it?
No.
It doesn't rest on income because there's so many grants that you have to
That is
be
correct.
within
This
that
one
area.
is not.
Okay.
It has to do with your population.
Okay.
So,
That was 500 and something.
yep, 562.
It's $500,000.
And then there's also some, you know, private fundings, such as the Peter Kiewit Foundation. So some NRDs give money for pools. You know, like if you're losing water, NRDs don't want you to see that. But I think you guys belong to the Lewis and Clark. Is that right? Is that what you
I believe
belong
so.
to?
Yes.
Yeah. They don't give out a lot of grant money, so I wouldn't count on them.
What was the one that was on that plaque that she said was that?
Oh, that's Nebraska Game of Parks.
Oh, yeah, that's another one.
They're the ones that donated a bunch in 73.
Yeah.
Their name's on the plaque.
Yep, yep.
But they won't answer us now, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
they sent it, but we met the deadline for was September. So,
Yeah.
2020.
Well, for another year.
2020.
Well, and that's like this, that grant, the Civic Center grant for $562,000. That, the letter of intent is due January 15th. And Terry, my funding person, we actually have a funding person on staff, and he can come and talk to you, you know, once we decide everything. And I asked Terry about that because I knew it was due in January, and I said, what do we do about this? I said, I don't want them to miss it because of the deadline or anything. And he said, well, I don't think that they're ready for it. You know, a lot of grants, like, they don't want to be the first one in. They always want to be the last one out to give money. And he was saying that, you know, until you guys know for sure exactly where you're going to get the rest of the money, he said you probably wouldn't be eligible for this grant.
But they'd come in on the tail end.
Right, right. You know, like if we
have
do decide,
guaranteed through the lady.
you know, if you do decide to, like, maybe that you have to add maybe a half a cent of sales tax or something, you know, you normally wait till after that vote and say, okay, well, here, this is how we'll get it. It's with this other vote of the sales tax.
Well, you know, part of our local option is already designated towards parks and recreation for the pool.
Oh, okay. So maybe you don't have to, I mean.
It was supposed to get 20%. It's been, don't know.
Well,
So
We're finding it.
So,
Yeah.
so how long, okay, let's say we get to this agreement of you guys going ahead. What is the time frame that you guys will have this sketched up and?
I think there is, that is on there, yeah.
Well, actually, in all honesty, and I'm not trying to be, what I'm trying to say is this is the perfect time of year to start designing a pool, because it gives us 3 months to design it over winter. We put it out for bid in early spring for that late fall start of construction. It all makes a lot of sense to start now. You could push it off a month, but then it squeezes us on the backside to get everything done, because I do need to submit it to the Department of Health and receive the approval and do that. It's nice to keep the pool open during the year, and then we just come right in on the tail end and start removals. I do have a schedule. If we start now, I would have the plans done by late March, and then I would bid it in May, and then we would put like August 1st or something for a construction start. Yeah, that part of it's real doable. It would be nice if we received approval tonight, because then, you know, I can get staff lined up and ready to go. I kind of come in on the backside of it. I oversee the construction. Dave Henke and Tyler Dome generally do the design.
Right now, Tyler's helping the Osmond pool.
Right.
Or, excuse me, Dale's helping
Yeah,
the
we're
Osmond pool.
currently building a pool in Osmond as we speak. I was gonna kind of go back there to talk about that, because I encountered high groundwater there. I'm close to the creek down there. And we have the methods to deal with it. We put down some geogrid, we put down some big rock, get the footings down, get that drainage tile in there. If the pump runs 24/7, so be it. We get that water out of it. But it's more than doable to build in those conditions. You just rather not. We can raise it up a little bit and help. So that's the time frame. And then I guess the agreement goes through and talks about all the items that we do to design a pool. I mean, there's quite a bit to it. It's not cookie cutter by any means. But that's what the agreement talks about, and then it puts the conditions on us to serve you, the client, as the owner. Have meetings, come up and meet with the pool committee or the owners or whoever wants to participate. Most of the design fee is lump sum just for the design, and then the construction side of it's per hour, how many hours I'm on site. I try to be as ginger as I can, but if the site conditions call for it, I need to be there for concrete work. For the council's sake, or the people's sake, the design fee is $215,000 to design it, bid it, and then the construction fee overseeing the construction is $49,000. So, and that's pretty typical for this type of pool. So it just takes us that much effort to complete all the items. We talked about the original cost. Now, I don't know if this cost includes our costs. That's one thing I would have to.
Say that again.
These figures are not.
Yeah, I don't know if that's with the 2.6.
Okay.
That, I would have to clarify that.
You don't know if they're in that.
I don't know if those numbers I just quoted are in that 2.6 to 2.7. So I just want to be clear about that, so we don't. And we can always adjust the design to kind of save a little money here and there, but generally it's hard.
Can we, I know the slide's gonna be some money, all these tent fixtures, they can all be put on it later, but they would be situated so it'd be ready to go.
We can put the anchors in and have it ready to go this week
If we decide to on a later date.
And we did do alternates and osmonauts.
Okay, so we could cut some costs out of some of this
Right.
at the top front part of
Right.
it, and then have fundraisers and make do it that way.
Yep. And I guess to give you some, we were kind of talking about this as because we'd like to get going with, the community to design this, and I understand that you have an opportunity for some funding source. You could accept an agreement through design and bidding, and then once you have the money in place, we actually bid, and we would not submit it to the Department of Health until we get to that point, and we might need to summon up some grants, other funding sources to pay for the whole project. Now, but
we don't know how much this lady's got unless we know a final price that you give us just a ballpark figure of 2.6, 2.7.
Kim, did you ever get anything from her what exactly she had to do?
She would never say, except when I gave her the other two estimates that I had, the 2.1 and 2.08. She just said, well, I want to make sure that you get enough money to be able to complete the project. Now, let's be honest, I've tried to contact her several times in the last couple months to let her know what's going on. I have been unable to get an answer or to leave a message because her mailbox is full. So,
And she is elderly.
she is elderly.
I talked to her at something quite a while back, and I suggested she might not get the bid until the three bids that they're talking about.
That's the hardest part is trying to get somebody to give you without them.
I'm in the business too.
A design, because they don't know what they've got to do.
That's where the other two we've got, they're on pools that they.
And when they let their bids, they'll let it to different areas.
One was at Pompous, one was Wakefield, I think one was labeled, I don't recall. As I recall. So, they just.
It did not sound to me like she had a full amount, that she had, it did not sound to me like she was gonna just write a check for whatever it was. It sounded to me like she had a trust fund that was left by somebody else that wanted that to go into that pool, and that amount of money was available. And at one point, I said something about putting it into a trust that would just be automatic for the pool, no matter what happened, because she lamented the fact that she might not be around long enough. And she said, well, it's earning such good dividends that I wouldn't want to move it. So I took it that there was a set amount.
That's the same discussion I had with her.
I think if we get $1 million.
Or to the Crofton Foundation
I think we can count on $1 million, but I'm not sure that we'll get that. Did you get that correct?
As I said, she said she wanted to make sure we got enough, and she knew what we did. She did.
Looking at one of those 29 trucks.
So as I've been,
So does anybody in the audience have any views, ideas on layout that we kind of decided, or do you want something changed already, or is there something that, I know there's not enough people here, there's a lot more people sitting at home. So is there anybody that, the idea that we come up with, that Don and I kind of talked it over with these guys, is this,
Yeah, and that's got some of the kiddie stuff in there, like a mushroom, the way it looked, the mushroom, and a couple little water features for the kids to play in, and that's what the others had too.
But I mean,
Something like that, great.
we can put some of those items on hold and do a fundraiser if we needed other things, and they can put the equipment in there, not in there, but,
You can point it in.
I get the bid, I would suggest, of course, bid with all the bells and whistles you can get, and then adjust
then
accordingly.
take it out, if we have to.
It had been suggested to me by several other people that one thing to consider would be to take water features and stuff like that and put those parts out for donation from retirees or businesses or whatever to make donations.
Or if I run across a lot of money at the jackpot at the casino, I can,
Absolutely.
I might have it tomorrow.
You know, and there is certain ways to ask for that money. You know, we've always been told that, you know, you should have like, you know, a trusted figure in the community go to some of these people and directly ask them. That you'll get more that way than just having a fundraiser and expecting people to come in. It's having somebody that's got that relationship with some of these people that might have some of the money. It's a one-on-one type of conversation, not just
Just like this lady lived here years ago, and she wants to have the people remind everybody that they lived here and they're gonna get back to the city. Something like that.
So were you planning on like?
Okay, let
giving
me
her
see if
name
I can wrap this up.
Okay.
Because, just if it's okay with you.
That's fine.
I was just talking with Mr. McNally. We cannot approve anything tonight. We have a pool update on the agenda. We don't have anything else. This is the first time the board has even seen this. We have nothing in the budget. We have, you know, we're gonna have to do some work on where the money's coming from, okay? So this is a start. They said this is a rough start. And so I would love to, you know, study this and see where we go from here and see if we can work that in the budget. But we cannot approve any part of it until we look at it.
I guess my question is this lady, you know, we don't know her.
Right.
Do you guys have somebody from the city that talks to her then, or, you know, how does that work?
I've talked to her twice.
Okay.
Kim, you've talked to her, haven't you?
Several times, yeah.
You know, we can talk to her, you know, after we get some of this stuff straightened out, but I think, you know, the
Well,
city
that's why I
should be-
said this is the start,
Yeah,
because we've
yeah.
never been able to
Right.
tell her what anything was gonna be.
The city should be the ones talking to her and getting the money. We also do have, one of our pool designers actually does live in Wisconsin, where I guess
Yeah.
she lives also. And he lives about an hour away. So I know, you know, these guys here want to keep her informed. And, you know, that guy can go up there and visit her, you know, and show her everything. That's not a problem, answer any questions, so.
I know she has a caregiver
That'd be good to
that,
know.
I don't know if it's a 24/7 situation, but I've talked to the caregiver too, so.
So, yeah, you know, you guys should kind of get in
She
touch with
said
her
something to
about
me
this.
about her son was helping her at some point. So I don't know whether that means helping her physically or helping her financially, you know, that whole thing. So,
I've
yeah,
been kind of talking to her and told her what we're kind of doing.
You did talk to her, Larry?
I've talked to her about 4 times already, so.
Oh, really?
So, and what she has in mind, she ain't gonna put out until she sees some bids. So we have no idea exactly what she has. She's very, very happy that we got this started. And I told Dave to contact her, and he's gonna keep her updated on stuff, and she'd like to be involved with it just as much as anybody else, so. We gotta make some decisions, like you said, Cheryl, where we're gonna come up with the rest of the money. It's gonna be a decision what we're gonna do here.
Yep.
I know the community will come together, they all want this pool. Everybody in this
We
town.
also need a sewer.
Everybody in this town wants this pool.
Can I make a suggestion? As far as her with the money, it would be good to know if the 215,000 on the design was separate. If that needs to be paid up front, we know we're going for a design, and we know we're gonna get that bid out. If she would be willing to put that money right forward to pay that, it would be really great.
That's a good point, and, you know, I did, you know, and maybe Dave is supposed to contact her too.
Yeah, someone would should probably present this proposal to her, explain that thought.
I can probably,
I can leave this with you.
okay.
Because I think it's better coming from you. I mean, we're willing to help, but
I might make a copy of it, send it in the mail, and then if she gets it, she can talk to me and I can explain it.
right.
That's probably the best way of doing it. So we're all on the same page musically. And it's money that we need to do up front, and she might say, if this thing going, we'll just go ahead and pay that. I don't know.
This number, the engineering fee is not in the 267.
It is not.
The 260,
Well, and I looked through some of those other things about this and that, it was paid by owner. Those aren't in there either. So we're looking at
Yeah, you're looking close.
more than 2.7.
Yeah, and we need to get.
We're looking at 3 million.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's probably our step we gotta go to now. We're gonna have the board sit down and figure out where we're sitting with this before we're doing
Well, we've had a great discussion. I feel good about what we.
You don't feel like your trip was wasted, I hope? No. Okay. That's
Oh,
all
I've been
right.
through worse, trust me.
You guys wanted just some of them, you guys have.
I do, but
I don't know if they do over there.
I think I gave it one more.
That sounds good. Thank you, guys. You're welcome.
Thank you very
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
If you guys have any questions, you can certainly call us.
Yep.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. We had a good discussion.
Surprised you, didn't you? Okay, we have two other things that we need to take care of with JEO. They just keep popping up. We have an annual certification of program compliance that we have to okay. No, you don't. I already talked to Steve a couple times today. Yep. Thanks, Bill. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have, in your packet, you have that municipal annual certification of program compliance to the Nebraska Board of Public Roads classifications and standards, all right? So all this does is say that in compliance with these statutes, state statutes, that we are on board, we will mark that classification and standard of the city. And then I get to sign it that says, and it says down there that the street superintendent is optional. Steve said that he doesn't usually sign it. But what this does is say, yes, we have a plan, we have our 1 and 6 year plan, we have it in our budget, we're keeping track of where the money's spent, we know what's coming in the highway allocations, we know what's coming in we get a state sales tax, we get the local option sales tax for vehicles sold. So that just surprised me, that was a pretty good chunk of money. There's like 15 grand or 16 grand. So that comes out before our other 70,000 goes into the economic development stuff. So we get a gas tax, we get sales tax, we get licensing card tax, we get the allocation from the state, and I think there's another one. So, yeah, I don't know, I'm going to try and explain this very quickly. The state gives us money, it's called highway allocation. It's based on how many people live in the town and how many lanes you have. So one of the reports that our superintendent does is how many lanes we have. It goes through and counts all the street. A lane is half of the road. So like the highway, that's a 2-lane road, okay? So based on population and lanes, we get a set amount of money from the state to take care of that. I kind of had a background of that a little bit, and I knew we had to spend it in order to get money again next year. So I've been kind of worried about, making sure that we've got that set, designated to spend. But then you dig a little deeper, and you take that amount of money that came in from the state, and we have to match 25% of that with our own local funds. So then I thought, okay. But then after I talked to Steve, he said, but your local funds includes that state sales tax and your stuff in the county. So using him and his office and his gal down there, we went to state and county, we got all the figures. And by the time we took our figures to get to the 25% of theirs, which is about 90 grand, we were within $33. So I know we spent that out of some of our property tax or our, something, other taxes. So we're good there. Then the other thing is we have to prove we spent that. So what we came up, what we had to spend was $121,000. Now one would think that's not hard to spend $121,000, right, Boomer? Except for the last 2 years, we haven't done anything with the mixing strip, right? That's every 3 years. So about every 3 years, we spend 40 grand approximately, and then the 2 years in between, we don't spend that. So, and last year was down, I guess, or whatever. Anyway, I've been into the books twice, and there's, looks like that there's 80 grand, just pretty clear. And then there's that 50,000 that paid on the Bond Street on Sharon Street. So see, that takes us through that. Remember that Sharon Street is streets and infrastructure, water and sewer. So we may not want to use all of that for that street. We might use it another year or whatever, but then we have to remember too, we paid 25 on this street down here, and that wasn't put into the streets for some reason in the books where it is. So we're doing some finding stuff and adjusting. And at any rate, we're okay. Okay? So all of these things that are checked on here have been checked and have been approved by Steve, and we can, I don't think that they have to do anything. I just have to sign it. Is that right?
No,
Do they have to
there are 2 resolutions.
Oh, yes, there's a resolution.
2 resolutions that you need to
Yes.
sign.
Okay.
The first resolution is to state that you are in compliance. And the second resolution authorizes your street superintendent to sign the document. So you need first resolution, motion to approve the resolution.
That's that resolution right there, signing a municipal annual certification. So what that says is that the state of Nebraska does this. The state of Nebraska also requires that the annual certification program be signed. So you're going to authorize me to sign it, basically. So I need a vote on.
Three separate motions on both sides?
Yeah.
I make a motion to sign the municipal certification program compliance form 2019.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, done. All right. Okay, so then we'll start with Arlene.
Yes.
Isla.
Yes.
Larry.
Yes.
And Don.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the first one. And then
Second resolution is to authorize your street superintendent sign documents necessary.
Okay, so I need resolution, or a motion to approve that second resolution, which authorizes the signature.
Investigate resolution 12-219-1 and 12-219-2.
Okay. And so we need the second resolution, or motion for the second one.
I'll make a motion to sign the year-end certification for city superintendent form, resolution 12-219.
I'll second.
Yes, Arlene. And then we go Isla?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And Arlene? Okay. So those are done.
J.E. Bowyer superintendent.
Pardon?
J.E. Bowyer superintendent.
Steve, yeah.
Steve, thank you.
Okay. See, he told me he didn't have to sign it, and I thought there was one here. I could. Yep. Okay. Agendas and with my video stuff. Okay, we got a notice, I was gonna send that on and then, I don't think I did. Did you guys get anything from Joanne Fisher, just as a reminder? Okay, Don, you and Arlene,
Right, yeah, I got it.
you got a notice. March is your,
Actually,
filing for
February.
has to be done by one of us. Okay, okay. And that's for the audience too. If next year's the election year, Don and Arlene are up for re-election because they're finishing a four-year term that will end in 2 years. So if anybody's interested in running for council, you need to register by February or March. Check.
Thomas got arrested by February and the other.
And the rest of them by March, isn't it? Yeah. So you want to look into that, and do they have forms here now, Kathy, or do they all go, they pick up forms here and pay their fee, and then you take it, and then you go to county and register? Okay. Okay, so we got those done. I think that's it. Is there anything else? Anybody got anything else?
Larry, I do. I looked at this budget thing that you sent out for us, and I remember last month when Bob Evans was here, and you said you put, correct me if I'm wrong, 11,000 some odd dollars in a lost fund. That was that economic development money. I don't see it.
Because this is for this month, this is the new fiscal year.
So we close the books already on this budget?
Every month, they just, this said, right, Kathy, this is just.
It's October then. It's
That's
1
just
month
October,
into
it's
the
in 1
fiscal
month
year.
into the new fiscal year.
So this money that's sitting in there for economic development, why are you putting it back in the economic development money?
It is an economic.
I thought you said it was a lost fund.
Lost is, that is the economic. Lost is local option sales tax. Okay? And it's gonna read on your thing here, lost, because that's what's on the budget, L-O-S-T, capital letters. Okay? It's just a short.
Abbreviation?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yep. Sorry about that, I didn't make that clear. That was
a lost fund, and I thought.
I know, I know. That's kind of the way I reacted the first time I heard it too. I looked at that budget and said, we don't have any lost. But that's what it is, it's local option sales tax. They were sitting in the budget, or they were sitting in our books. The money was going into it, but there was never any trace of it coming out. So at the end of the fiscal year, what was happening was Eddie was going in and sorting it out and putting it in other funds, as near as I can tell. So then I had Simon set these up as operating funds so that we'll go in and out as we use it, we can trace it.
What are we using that big number?
We have,
What would we use, the only thing I think we can use it for is, if I come in town and want business, and they come up to me and say, okay.
well, there's several things we can use.
Right, but we're not gonna be paying wages and stuff like that, are we?
Well, there's a, if you can, and they did before.
Well, I
So-
know that, but I got the.
I know, we talked with that with Bob, and we're gonna do some more research on that, Larry.
I mean, it shows no wages at all.
No, it doesn't say no wages.
So, I just don't wanna see money going out of a special fund, restricted
Yep.
fund.
Right?
Okay.
And you'll see that clarified, I think. All right. But that's what the LOST is, they're not lost laws.
Thank you.
They're just local options.
Had me confused there.
Yep. I think by getting it into where we can take it in and out and account for it, we're gonna do a better job of accounting. It's gotta be used, okay?
Well,
Like
they can
60% of that is
They
infrastructure.
can hold 20,000 a year.
Well, that's for economic development.
And I think that if we have 20,000, that should be an economic development.
I read that as holding it 20 every year. Bob, or Alan Arns said, no, it's not about holding it, it's about receiving it. So when you get over 20,000 in your sales tax, then you can't get any more.
That's exactly right.
So then you have to take it to the other two funds, which is.
75% to the city infrastructure and
Yeah,
25%.
yeah, whatever, I don't know.
Those two, I get it.
It's to the other two, yeah, I don't know what percentage.
Yeah, whatever the percentage that is.
It's just that amount that goes, that would normally go to economic development is then divided into the other two. Doesn't affect their 60 and 20. Okay, they get their original 60 and 20, but then they get the rest of the money for the economic. I think the one that probably we need to look the most at is that for the swimming pool. That was used the most for parks and recreation under the interpretation that it said for parks and recreation and swimming pool, and that opened it up. And
Are we still considering this auditorium as parks and recreation?
Sure. It's all in the same fund.
What are we doing in here that's?
Well, you gotta put it somewhere, Larry, so that's where it went. It's recreation, it's what, that's what we're working on, is to get everything into clarified funds. Okay? Well, thank you, Mr. McNally. Drive safely. Okay, I will entertain a motion to get out of here.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Arlene? Yes. Isla? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Larry? Okay,
Yes.
we are adjourned.